Let me ask you something. Has anyone ever asked you a question and something inside you felt wrong? Not wrong like a fight, just wrong. Like a cold feeling that crept up your back. Like your gut was trying to whisper something your brain had not caught up to yet. That feeling has a name. That is your instincts recognizing a trap before your mind sees it. Here is what most people never find out. Manipulators do not control people with force. They do not grab you. They do not push you. They use something far more powerful than any of that. Questions, specific questions, quiet questions. Questions that sound totally harmless coming out of someone's mouth. But do something very specific inside your head the moment you hear them. They make you shrink. They make you explain yourself. They make you prove your worth. They make you hand over your power without even knowing you did it. And the most dangerous thing, you have heard these questions before. Maybe last week, maybe last year, maybe this morning, maybe from someone you love deeply, but you did not know what they really were. You thought it was just conversation. You thought they were just asking. They were not just asking. Today that changes. I'm going to show you 5 questions manipulators always ask. Not the obvious ones you have already heard about. The quiet ones. The ones dressed up as concern. The ones that live inside normal conversations and do damage so slowly you do not notice until the damage is already done and you are already changed. Once you hear these, you will never unhear them. You will spot them in real life, at home, at work, online, in relationships you thought were safe. And a trap you can see cannot catch you. Let us go. Question 1. Can you prove it? You say something true. You bring up a concern, something you witnessed, heard, felt in your body, and the manipulator looks at you calmly and says, "Can you prove it?" Or, "That is a serious thing to say. Where is your proof?" And suddenly you are searching through your own memory like a detective, gathering receipts for your own lived experience, feeling like you have been called to a courtroom to convince a judge that the thing you lived through actually happened. That is the trap. Real conversations between people who care about each other are not courtrooms. When a friend says they were hurt, you do not say prove it. When a partner says something felt wrong, you do not demand evidence. Trust is not a legal case. But a manipulator turns every conversation into one. This question shifts the entire weight of the conversation onto your shoulders. Now, you are not talking about the issue. You are defending your right to even have the issue. And while you are busy searching for proof, their behavior goes unchanged. You walk away exhausted, doubted, and somehow feeling like you were the one who did something wrong. Over time, this does something dark. You start pre-screening your own feelings. Before you bring something up, you ask yourself, "Can I prove this?" And if the answer is no, you stay quiet, you swallow it, you let it go, and they never have to answer for anything ever again. When you hear this question, do not go down the rabbit hole. Say, "I do not need to prove what I experienced. I lived it," then stop. That's because once you start gathering evidence, you have accepted the idea that your feelings need approval before they count. They do not. A person who genuinely cares leans in and says, "Tell me what happened. Proof is for courtrooms. Love is for people. Know the difference." Question 2. Why do you need so much reassurance? You reach out. You want connection. You want to feel like the person you care about still cares back. That is not weakness, that is human. But the manipulator sighs and says, "Why do you need so much reassurance?" Or, "I already told you I care. Why do you keep needing to hear it?" Or the version that cuts deepest. This is exhausting. And now, you do not just feel unheard. You feel like a burden, like needing love is a character flaw, like wanting connection is embarrassing. So, you pull back. You stop reaching out. You start managing your needs in silence and telling yourself to be stronger, less needy, more independent. Here is what is actually happening. A secure person never makes you feel ashamed for wanting to feel loved. In a healthy relationship, reassurance is just part of how people take care of each other. But a manipulator has something to gain from making your needs feel like a problem. Because if your needs feel like too much, you will stop expressing them. And if you stop expressing them, they never have to meet them. All the power, none of the responsibility. They benefit from you believing you are too much. Because a person who thinks they are too much stops asking for anything and becomes incredibly easy to neglect. When you hear this, do not apologize. Say, "Needing love is not a weakness. And I am not going to apologize for it." Because the real question is not why do you need so much. The real question is why does showing up for you feel like a burden to them? That answer will tell you everything. Question 3. Did I say you could do that? It does not always come out that directly. Sometimes it sounds like, "You did not ask me first?" Or wrapped in calm, "I just think it would have been nice to be consulted." You made a plan with a friend. You changed something about your schedule. You made a completely personal choice. And you did not run it by them because why would you? It is your life. But the manipulator goes quiet in that particular way that fills the room. And the message is clear. You were supposed to check with me first. This is not about being included. If it were, they would say, hey, I would love to be looped in. Normal, healthy, respectful. This is ownership. Someone telling you through a question that your choices belong to them, that you stepped outside a boundary you did not even know existed. This is how control starts, not with locked doors, with questions that make you feel like you need a hall pass to be yourself. And if you do not catch it early, you start checking. You ask before making plans. You pause before making choices. You run everything through them first because somewhere along the way, you started believing that is what being good looks like. But it is not. It is you handing over the keys to your own life, one small permission at a time. When you hear this, say firmly but calmly, I do not need permission to live my life. And watch how they respond. A person who respects you will hear that and recalibrate. A person trying to control you will call you selfish. They will say you are not being a team player. They will make your independence sound like betrayal. It is not betrayal. It is a boundary. Keep it. Question 4. Why are you telling other people our business? You talked to someone, a friend, a sister, a therapist. You needed to process something. You needed a voice outside the situation because inside it, everything was blurry. So you talked. And it helped. And then the manipulator finds out, and they say, why are you telling other people our business? Or, what happens between us stays between us. Or the guilt version, so you just go around making me look bad. And shame floods in, like talking to the people who love you was a betrayal. Let me be very clear, and every healthy person needs people, not just one person. A circle, people who can see from the outside and name what they see. A manipulator does not want you to have that circle, not because they are protecting your privacy. Because that circle is a threat. Every person in your life who loves you and sees clearly is someone who might notice what is happening. Someone who might say, hey, that does not sound right. So they cut off the circle, one guilt trip at a time. They dress up isolation as loyalty. They call it respect. They call it privacy. But it is the slow removal of every safety net you have. And isolation does not happen all at once. It happens conversation by conversation, until one day you realize you have not been fully honest with your best friend in months. Oh, and the only person who really knows what is going on in your life is the very person making things go wrong. When you hear this question, say, the people who love me are part of my life. I am always going to talk to them. Because the moment you start keeping secrets to protect someone from accountability, you are protecting the wrong person. Keep your circle. Talk to the people who love you. Your support system is not a betrayal. It is your lifeline. Question 5. What would you do without me? This one is the most invisible and the most powerful. It does not always sound threatening. Sometimes it sounds sweet. They say it with a smile after helping you with something. They look at you softly and say, what would you do without me? You smile back and say, I do not know. I need you. And they smile. But something was just handed over without you knowing. Because in the hands of a manipulator, this is not a love question. It is a dependency question. It is a seed. And every time they plant it and you water it, it grows into something that starts to feel like truth. That you need them. That without them you would fall apart, that they are the reason your life works. And once that seed is fully grown, they can do almost anything. They can treat you poorly. They can cross your lines. They can ask you to accept things that hurt you. And every time you think about leaving or speaking up, that question echoes in your head. What would you do without me? And the answer that has been planted does all the work. You would be lost. You cannot make it without them. That is not love. That is a leash made of words. Real love builds you up. It reminds you that you are capable, that the relationship adds to a life that is already whole. Not that the relationship is the only reason your life works at all. A partner who truly loves you wants you to know you could survive without them. Because love chosen freely is the only kind worth anything. So ask yourself honestly, when this person helps you, does it make you feel stronger or smaller and more dependent? Because the difference between support and control is how it leaves you feeling after. And the real answer to that question, the one you deserve to believe, is this. You would be okay. You would grow. You would heal. You would find your way. It would be hard, but you would be free. Never let anyone make you forget that. Manipulation is not always loud. Sometimes it lives in soft voices and warm rooms and people you genuinely love. But it has patterns. It asks the same question. It goes for the same places every single time. Your doubt, your guilt, your need for love, your sense of self, your connections to the people who care about you. And the scary thing is not that manipulators are smart. The scary thing is that most do not even fully realize what they are doing. It is just how they learn to keep people close. But understanding why someone does something does not mean you have to let it happen to you. You are allowed to have compassion for someone and still protect yourself from them. Both things can exist at the same time. When something starts pulling on those places inside you, pay attention. Not with panic, not with anger, with calm, steady clarity. Because the moment you can see it, it loses its power. It cannot work on someone who can name it. You are not too much. You are not broken. You do not need permission to live your life. Your feelings do not need a lawyer. Your support system is not a betrayal. And you are absolutely going to be okay if you ever have to walk away from something that is hurting you. Believe that. Share this with someone who needs it today. Hit that like button. And drop in the comments which question hit you hardest.